The Sandy Line Video Company, a subsidiary of the Sandy Line Railroad, proudly presents a ride on the Southern Michigan Railroad, Clinton to Tecumseh. Tracks leading south to Tecumseh from Clinton, and this is the Southern Michigan Railroad Historical Society's tracks. We'll be boarding this train in just a minute and heading south for Tecumseh. Here we have a bay window MYC caboose, followed by a Penn Central caboose. Here we are, we're looking at the headquarters now. Southern Michigan Railroad Historical Society, Clinton, Michigan. Penn Central caboose 19882. New York Central bay window caboose 21692. Here's our conductor today. Can you tell me about the engine, what railroad it used to belong to?
Yeah, originally it was bought by the U.S. Navy. It was built about 1942, and then in later years it was owned by the Hayes Albion Company in Albion, Michigan. They used it to switch cars to the foundry, and they donated it to us about 4 years ago.
In addition to this engine, does the organization own any other engines that...
We own 4 Alcos. They're down at the south end of the line, and currently we don't have any way of getting them up here. Our line crosses the Norfolk and Western Detroit-St. Louis main line, and those crossings have been taken out.
Would that be the old Ann Arbor Railroad RS3s?
That's right.
Okay, and it's my understanding that some will be restored in Ann Arbor colors,
yes,
and some in...
to paint at least one in Ann Arbor color.
How about the MYC? Do you have plans for that color too?
I'm not really sure what we're going to do with that one. We may leave it in the NYC colors.
Okay. And do you work for the railroad full-time, or is this
no.
a hobby?
No, this is a hobby. This is a volunteer organization.
Okay. How many members do you have in your organization?
I'd say between 200 and 250.
Okay. And your name, sir, is?
The 13.5-mile-long Southern Michigan Railroad is an offshoot of the Erie and Kalamazoo Railroad, Michigan's first railroad and the first built west of the Allegheny Mountains. An E&K subsidiary, the Palmyra and Jacksonburg Railroad, was built north from near Lenawee Junction in the year of 1837, reaching Tecumseh in 1838. After a decade of financial problems, construction was continued north with the line reaching Clinton in 1849 and Jackson in 1856. For many years, the railroad prospered. Ownership changed to the Lakeshore and Michigan Southern and later New York Central. As passenger and freight traffic declined in the 30s and 40s, revenues fell. During the 1960s, the rails were moved north of Clinton. Small-scale freight service was provided by MYC successors Penn Central and Contrail. In 1982, Conrail decided to abandon the line, the last run taking place on March 11th. The railroad story could have ended here had the society not stepped in. The society was formed in the summer of 1982 for the purpose of acquiring the Conrail track, restoring it, and operating train service for tourists and visitors to southeast Michigan with vintage equipment, following the traditions of the New York Central Railroad. Responsible for the operation of trains and maintenance on the railroad. Through memberships, a means of volunteers to help with these duties is provided, and in doing so, the future of the railroad is ensured. The society keeps its members informed about the railroad through its newsletter and welcomes everyone, whether or not able to play an active role. It sounds like the train is about ready to leave, so let's go back now on the line and get ready for a trip on the Southern Michigan Railroad.
Today, former New York Central caboose, and let's take a walk inside and see what we have. Here we have the conductor's corner where he would do his business while the train was en route. Small writing table, and of course benches. Cots for the railroadmen to lay down and rest while en route. And as we walk through at the other end, a place for them to sit, look out the bay window and check their trains on each side. And the same on the other side. Here we have the air pressure gauge. This tells the conductor what the air pressure was along his train, and of course the emergency dump valve where he could throw the brake if he had to. The train is just about ready to depart. The conductor is placing the flags now on the front of the consist, and in a moment we're en route. Train is also protected by flags. Here we're taking up a position in the bay window caboose area to check the front of our train. Just as New York Central engineers, conductors have done for years. Are there in the club altogether? How many members in the club altogether?
I'd say around 250, somewhere around there.
Now, in addition to these two cabooses, what other rolling stock does the group own now?
They have those motor cars.
Motor cars?
Yeah.
He was telling me that they want to try to get those locomotives up here, but they got to try figure out a way to get them up and over the Norfolk and Southern Diamond there, do they? You can see our engine here that we're operating today. conductor on the left, our brakeman on the right. Here we pass some other railroad equipment waiting for us to make the stall by. They'll now move out onto the main. Watching the world go by from the greatest place you can ever be, in the caboose of a train. Conductor prepares to get off and flag the crossings. Now ready to flag for the crossing. The brakeman takes up his